All right, big stuff here today, guys. We're gonna look at the 30 major causes of failure. Now, this is cool because what Hill did is he actually went to like thousands of people, and 98 out of the 100 people he talked to were basically classified as failures because it sucks, right? Because there's something radically wrong with civilization. A system of education which permits so many people to go through life is failures because people just don't have overarching long-term goals. They don't have that secret formula in their lives, and because of that, it just kind of sucks for a lot of people. So the deal here is to look at the 30 major reasons that these 98% of people fail so that you can use them to not be one of them and to go ahead and become part of that 2% that's massively successful and has tremendous growth in your life. Earnestly to try, fail, and then overcome the tragedies, because you can't just fail and quit. You have to go until you succeed. So with that said, let's get closer and closer to success. We're going to do today in a nice little cyany teal color. That's what they call it, teal. Awesome. So number 1, unfavorable hereditary background. Guys, you're kidding me. Hereditary. Genetics. People blame this stuff all the time, and it is crazy. All right, little if anything can be done for people who are born with a deficiency in brain power. This philosophy offers but one method of bridging the weakness: through the aid of the mastermind. Observe with profit, however, how this is only one of the 30 causes of failure that are not easily corrected by the individual. Right? You cannot control this. All right, cannot control. So what's that mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means. If you're having problems, if you're having issues, maybe if you're having problems with weight, right? And you're like, oh, I'm big bone because the family is big bone. Like, no, you're not big bone, right? I used to be super fat, lost 50 pounds in like half a year. I was big bone, whatever. You can't blame genetics for that. You can't blame society for that. You can only blame yourself, all right? All you. You must take responsibility. And once you do that, all of a sudden, when you take responsibility, you're able to control your future. You're able to take action. Responsibility, right, goes to action. If you really want to change something, you take action and you instill that change. You make it happen. You look past, bad genetics and you focus on yourself. You develop yourself, right? And all of a sudden, you're in this whole new world where you're actually able to crush it by focusing on what you can do rather than what's out of your control through, unfavorable hereditary background. You know what I mean? Makes sense? Gotta overcome that. Can't let it hold you down. Can't even let it freaking touch you because you're invincible. You're so confident. You're up there. You're killing it. It's all you. All right? Number 2. Lack of a well-defined purpose in life. Guys, no purpose. This all comes down to that secret formula. You gotta make sure you're following it every day, twice a day. There is no hope of success for the person who does not have a central purpose or definite goal at which to aim. 98 out of every 100 people of those whom I have analyzed had no such aim. Perhaps this was the major cause of their failure. Major cause. Guys, this is huge. I see this all the time. You ask people if they have any overarching long-term goals, and what do they say? Well, unless they've gone through this program and gone through the secret formula, the answer is almost always, 98% of the time, no. Guys, if you don't have long-term goals, you don't have a vision to work towards, that's gonna severely limit your success. It's ridiculously difficult to have any level of success in your life if you don't have that secret formula set in place, because you don't know what success is. You don't know what winning is. If you don't have something to run towards, an overarching goal to work towards, a whole lifeline ahead of you where you know the destination. We talked about this so much before, like having a path to your destination will emerge as soon as you figure out exactly where you want to go. Powerful stuff. Got to make sure you have that secret formula taken care of. So, number 3, insufficient education. Come on, guys. Not enough education. That is so bogus, all right? The education system at least traditional education. I'll read what Hill says first, okay? This is a handicap that may be overcome with comparative ease. Experience has proven that the best educated people are often those who are known as self-made or self-educated. It takes more than a university degree to make one a person of education. Any person who is educated has learned to get whatever they want in life without violating the rights of others. Education consists not so much of knowledge, but of knowledge effectively and persistently applied. People who are paid not merely for what they know, but more particularly for what they do with what they know. It's all about action, right? It's about the value that you bring through your actions, valuable actions, right? So here's the deal, right? Like, it makes sense 100% if you want to learn about investing in the stock market, if you want to learn about, building wealth through compounding assets in financial markets. Like, yeah, go buy a book on that, read that book on that, and learn how to do it from somebody that's already doing it and crushing it. That's super cool. That's awesome. What you don't need to do is go get a PhD in finance to buy your first stock. Like, you don't stress, right? Like with traditional education, it's more important to get actionable steps from people that are doing it, right? So that the people that are teaching you, the teachers, are the ones that are like actually doing it, that are out there crushing it. There was this example in this book I was reading called Fake, Robert Kiyosaki, and I'll have the review of that linked below here, I guess. And what happened is Robert, he was in college and he had a path, right? On one side of this path, he had his he wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. You guys remember from the general membership area, right? Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Now his rich dad, he told him to go to a real estate investing course, real estate investing seminar, because he was in the real estate investment space, right? Investing seminar. Which is awesome, right? And then his poor dad told him to go to night school to get an MBA. So he was going to night school for his MBA, for his MBA / he was talking mostly about his accounting side, so accounting and marketing. So just pretend that fit. On this niche specific school, right, where he was going with a very, very specific aim in his education. What happened was he went to this investing seminar. He bought the course. It was a 3-day event. And what happened is they went out and they looked at properties and they took action, right? They looked at homes, took action, and he actually had to go out and find 100 properties and then funnel that down into just one property. Now all of a sudden, he buys this property, invests in this property, and he starts to make cash flow. He's making $25 a month with zero money down, which is so cool, right? It was all financed on other people's money with debt, which is awesome. All right, super big result. He starts to make money, and it fundamentally changes the way that he looks at investments, because now he realizes that he can use, he doesn't need money to make money, which is awesome. Super, super cool. That's like leveraging other people's skills and then learning from them, which is amazing. Now what happens over in his university is a little bit different. He takes this class, and the first thing that happens is he goes up to his accounting teacher and he says, have you ever been an accountant? Because this guy over here in the real estate course, he spent the first day talking about all the properties he owned, all the cash flow from the properties, everything. He was like, this is what I'm doing, this is the results I'm having, this is the success I'm having, these are the failures I'm having, this is what I've learned from it, this is what you can learn from it, this is how you can do what I'm doing. Over in this accounting class, he asked his teacher, hey, do you do this? And the guy's like, no, I'm actually a master's student studying to get my degree. And he's like, yeah, I can tell, because you're teaching from a freaking book, And there's no passion behind it, no experience behind it, no motivation behind it, nothing. It's just this guy reading a textbook. And it had such a fundamental shift in the way his education came. Because the education he's getting, it wasn't valuable. It didn't let him take action-based steps. It didn't let him succeed and create the result that he wanted in his life. So he was like, do you want to be an accountant? No, I don't want to be an accountant. I want to hire accountants and know what they're doing. And so he's like, well, what valuable questions would you ask your accountants? And he said, I just asked you a valuable question. Have you ever been a real accountant? Why am I learning from someone who's never been a real accountant? Question that, right? I teach people about personal finance and investing. I teach people about how to make tons of bank in the stock market. That's what I love to do. I do it every day. I was trading this morning. It was so fun. Put a Facebook Live video up about it. You know why? Because I do it every day. I love it. It's amazing. Do you think that it makes sense for anyone, to go and just teach a class on stuff that they've never done, because that's what's happening in universities, what's happening in schools, and I see it all the time. It sucks, because it's like, I have English teachers that, well, I guess I sort of just, English class, right? And like, I've, published 9 to noon, and like, I've got teachers that are 20 plus years older than me, and they've written like 1 article ever, and it's like, what the heck? Why am I learning? And I feel safer to say this on like an inside paid membership site. Like these guys, I mean, it was like you didn't learn anything from them. It was just to get the credit, to get the class done, to work towards that degree, right? And I'll put degree in a different shade of green because it's kind of mixing together. And it's like, dude, what's the point of this, right? Like, you're going towards this degree, but what's this degree worth, right? Like, is it going to give you the ability to take valuable actions? Question that, right? Some degrees are. Engineering, for instance, very, very specific, action-based, marketplace-driven degree. Other degrees, liberal arts, maybe aren't as valuable. So you have to make sure that what you're looking at is going to be able to produce the results that you want in the marketplace, and question if there's a better route to get there, a better route to get there, a better way to create, real savings and retirement, whatever it is you're doing. So make sure that it's not necessarily just enough education, but it's also the right education, Like, I'm in college and I'm in high school and whatever, but I'm taking tons of courses and basically, everything I've talked about so far in this area. He says one thing that really got me, and this is really big. He said self-made, right? Like, learning from self-made successes. You gotta remember, this book was written so long ago, but it was really interesting because the Partner with Anthony program, that's a course that has been amazing for me, helped me launch my online business. It's an amazing, amazing program. And I'll link the review below. You guys have seen the review. That course is tremendous. Something that Anthony focuses on throughout the later half of the course is self-made, right? And he has this chain necklace, and this necklace, it says self-made on it. He talks about how his knowledge came from application, and how what he knows, came from years and years and years of, learning about what he's teaching is building an online business through affiliate marketing, right? And then using that online business to grow through some of the courses he teaches are mostly based on like email marketing, follow-up, and then a scalable systemization of those processes, which are very, very powerful. It's an amazing, amazing course, amazing training. And it's all based on his knowledge that he created over time. I think the catch for, or the sales pitch for that is like, he just made like $1 million like online, which is awesome, right? He did it, right? Self-made. He made $1 million, right? And now he's teaching people how he did that. He's teaching them how they can partner with him to do that. He's teaching them how to grow with him, which is awesome, right? So you want to think about, do you want to work with that person who's out there creating results, crushing it, who wants to teach you exactly what they're doing it? Or do you want to come over here and work with someone like Robert Kiyosaki had to learn from at school? He had this marketing professor. Now, this marketing professor, he owned a bike store, right? So, marketing professor. Okay? This guy had a bike store, all right? And he would teach people like the theory of marketing in school, like how to buy a newspaper ad and how to enter a classified ad, like really, really basic stuff like that, just teaching from a textbook like before. And then what he would do is he would go on a field trip and say, hey, let's have a case study. Everyone, let's go to my bike store and I'll show you how I market. And so he went to the bike store and he's like, this is how you display the products. This is how you sell the products. This is how I stock the shelves in a retail environment. And then at the end of that field trip, what he would do is he would sell the kids bikes. And Robert Kiyosaki bought a bike from him. He'd used the bike for years and years. He said it was an amazing bike. He would just like sell people bikes from the university as part of like teaching them marketing. But in reality, he wasn't teaching them jack. And then he would just sell them bikes. So really question, are the people you're learning from, are they out there trying to sell you bikes? Are they out there trying to teach you marketing? Whatever field you're working in, whatever, area of expertise you have, really focus on, what their best interests are for you. And then use that as a way to scale up so that the right people to invest in yourself. The right areas of growth to expand your influence. It's super, super powerful concept. And it all comes down to this idea of getting enough of the right education and then just like taking action, right? Because remember, it's mostly action. right? You have the education, you have the basis, and then once you have that floor built in, once you understand exactly what you're doing, that's when you start to go out there and apply it and get the results, right? You want to get those results. And so it really just comes down to getting like the minimum amount needed to start and then starting. And that's why, you know, people write books to help people freaking crush it. That's why, you know, I wrote 9 to Noon, right? It's to get people that and honestly, like, I don't know, like that book's amazing. It's like, it's everything you could use. And that's the point of it, right? Is to go out there, get the information at the beginning through a course, through class, whatever you want to do, and then use it and apply it and crush it, right? And get the results. So make sure you don't let, you know, lack of education, maybe if you didn't finish, freaking Bill Gates dropped out of college, right? Everyone, yeah, right? Out of Harvard, right? Because he wasn't learning about business. He wasn't learning about investing as it related to his passion, as it related to his overarching long-term goal to create software for PCs, right? And so because of that, he realized that a degree wasn't valuable to him. What he needed was marketplace experience, and he needed to freaking make his stuff work so that he could sell what he was producing in the marketplace as a company. And that's where Microsoft came from, obviously. And he's same thing, right? He worked with the people that he was around, the people who were around him. They were his, you know, executives, the top people at Microsoft. A lot of them came from just working with Bill at Harvard, right? Because he was working towards this business investing goal, he was around the right people, he leveraged them, he grew that company, massive, massive, massive success, huge amount of wealth, right? It all comes from this internal ability to look past, you know, I'm not good enough, that limiting mindset, and turn it into this massive growth potential that all comes from your internal ability to get out there and freaking crush it. Super important, powerful, powerful stuff. So with that said, let's go on to number 4. Insufficient. Oh, sorry. I totally skipped one. It's okay though. Number 4, lack of ambition to aim above mediocrity. Guys, I'm telling you, setting the sights too low, right? I mean, guys, this is crazy. People do this, and I don't get why, man. It's so ridiculous. But they set their sights too low, and because of that, low goals, low ambitions means low achievement, right? If this is, you know, the bell that you hit at the fair, and you want to hit the bell at the top, and there's like, you know, you get like 100. You get like 50 and then 25, and you're standing here at the bottom and you think, oh, you know what? I'm going to use my big hammer here and I'm going to hit it. I'm going to hit this pad, and I would really, really, really be happy if I could just get to 10. If I could just get to 10, you know what? That would make me so excited. I would be so happy. You hit it and it goes to like 7, right? And you're like, oh, it's okay. I'll just do it again. I'll get to 10. It'll be amazing. Hit it again and it goes to 6 this time, a little bit lower. You're like, oh my gosh, my last chance, I have to crush it this time. Hit it as hard as you can. And you get to 12. And you're so excited, you're a bit ecstatic. You're like, oh my God, this is awesome. You beat your goal, you met your goal, you crushed it, you beat it by 20%. 20%! But everyone else looks at you and they're like, dude, this guy got 12. 12 out of 100. Because his goal was set too low. His maximum belief was way, way, way too low. His idea was just ridiculously low. What Hill says about this, Hill says, we offer no hope for the person who is so indifferent as not to want to get ahead in life and is not willing to pay the price. Guys, you gotta set high. This is the entire basis of the 10x rule, guys. It's insane, so powerful. And I'll link the book review below. The whole basis of this is to just radically shift your goals, your ideas, everything 10x, right? So if you want to get 100, you go for 1,000. You go so hard that it's ridiculously difficult for you to fail, because now getting just 10% of your goal would have this massive, massive success in your life, and everyone would be like, this is amazing, and you'd be like, wow, I can't believe that just happened. I'm so grateful for that success, and I'm going to use it as fuel to go harder and harder and harder till I can meet this 10x goal, until I can get to that 1,000 level, until I can be the best hitter in the entire park. It all comes down from this internal ability to shift your goals, shift your mindset. And that's why we said earlier, right? You can set your price when you set your overarching long-term goal and the amount of money that you desired. That can be any number because you set the goals. So please, please, please check out 10X Rule. That book is amazing. I'll have the book review below. You guys have seen it. You guys know it. This book is just great. It's awesome. So with that said, let's go over to numero cinco, number 5. Yeah, I don't know. These two are cool though. They're fun. I think they're kind of like rigged a little bit, but I'm not 100% sure. I've won them sometimes though. They're cool. They're fun. You know, it's especially if you got like friends around. You're just messing around, so you can hit it the highest. It's pretty fun. But I think they change them, like the mechanical ones versus the digital ones. I feel like the digital ones, you gotta hit it right in the middle. That's where they rig it. That's where they screw you. But if you can hit it right in the middle, like right in the middle, you can crush it. And it's just learning the system and learning the game and then mastering the game and then beating the game. That's all it is. That's how you win. That's how you 10x your results. Number 5, lack of self-discipline. Guys, this is a tough one, all right? Because self-discipline, you know, I'll see what Hill has to say about this. And then we will break it down even more for you. So Hill says, discipline comes through self-control. This means you must control all negative qualities. Before you can control conditions, you must first control yourself. Self-mastery is the hardest job you will ever tackle. If you do not conquer self, you will be conquered by self. You may see at one and the same time both your best friend and your greatest enemy by stepping in front of a mirror. Bam! Okay? Self-discipline comes and it goes, but it's difficult because you can definitely be your biggest enemy if you look at yourself and you say, you know what? I don't have these daily goals. I don't have this overarching plan. So the biggest thing to establish discipline comes from the secret formula, comes from that overarching long-term goal. Once you have that down, what you can do is you can break it down into a daily goal, right? So with your daily journal, right? You'll have 3 daily, you know, whatever your top daily goals are. There's blank space here. You can have as many as you want. I usually try to start with 3 daily goals. So 1, 2, 3. These are the top 3 things I want to do. If I can get these 3 things done, then I will be a success. It'll be amazing. It'll be the best day in my freaking life. Right? Makes sense? So I'll set that up and then have those goals to create discipline. It's a habit that creates discipline because those goals are important, but the biggest thing is discipline comes from habit. So if you can create habit, all of a sudden you're able to create tremendously high levels of discipline in your life and absolutely crush whatever it is that you're doing, which is insanely powerful. This is really the basis of the power of habit, right? And I'll have, you know, that book review below. The power of habit is huge in it because it talks about focusing on this thing and turning it into something that happens every single day. So when I wanted to lose weight, right, I would work out every single day when I got home from school, right? That's just what you just do it, right? Exercise, work out, diet. You make it a habit. Same thing, I was writing the book. I'd wake up every single morning at 4 and write. You make it a habit. Use the power of habit to create discipline. It's ridiculously easy to wake up at the same time every day if you have the discipline to go to bed at the same time every night. How do you do that? Make it a habit. Set an alarm every single day for the same time. And if you don't fall asleep on time, if you skip your bedtime, don't dare change it. You're going to wake up feeling very tired, probably, because you didn't get enough sleep. And so it's going to make you, essentially, you'll be forced to have discipline. You'll be forced to go to bed on time. You'll be forced to get it done and work it so that you can achieve your daily goals and you can crush it in that aspect of your life. And that's really the power. We talk about it over in the gym membership area of having that idea in your mind of this is how much sleep I want to get, this is how I need to go to bed, and that'll create your discipline. Create that discipline through the power of habits so that you're happy with what you see when you look in the mirror. You're happy with yourself and everything works out well because you have habits in your life that maintain a high quality standard that allow you to work towards your secret formula goal, that allow you to work towards the future that you desire, all based on this ability to just stick with something. Because once it's a habit, it's so easy. So for me, like a really great example, it was really tough to do. I was like on the ground, just so mad at myself for a long time when I started taking cold showers, right? Cold showers, for those of you guys who don't know, like cold showers are just amazing. They're so great for your immune system and then for your growth and for your muscle tone. It's amazing. As long as you don't do it right after you work out. Like cold showers are awesome. They're scientifically proven. Every aspect in the world says that cold showers are just tremendous for you. Now the problem is cold showers freaking suck. So when you start off and you're trying to like get in a cold shower, at least for me, like I was like I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. You get it, it hurts, right? It's painful, at least when you're starting. And so what I did was I just made it a habit. Like, look, I'm just gonna put this thing on as cold as it is, and I'm gonna make it a new habit to just take cold showers and just turn on the water and freaking make it happen. And at the beginning it was so tough. I'd be like on the ground kneeling like, please don't be a cold shower. I hate cold showers. But the discipline comes through the habit, you know, that if I don't turn the water has to be cold. I can't take a shower if the water is hot, you know? And so you think to yourself, how can you turn this into a habit? For me, one of the best ways to do it was to use if I took I just wasn't, you just aren't allowed to do what you don't want to do. So for me, I was just not allowed to have cold showers. I was just not allowed to eat sugar, right? And so that's what you freaking do. And if you you just don't do it. Like that's it. Like the discipline comes from you realizing that your life will not end if you stop eating sugar. Your life will not end if you take cold showers. There will be no physical harm to your body. It'll be only good. Usually if things are hard to do, it means they're good for you. So you just kind of have to, because if you can master one thing, it'll snowball into the rest of your life, right? So if you can figure out how to take cold showers every day, all of a sudden it's much easier for you to figure out how to wake up at the same time every day. And it's so much easier for you to be happy every day and have the habit of smiling all the time. And it's so much easier for you to conquer your long-term goal very carefully through your short-term steps every day and have that overarching plan for each day with your temporary goals, your daily goal. And it all comes from this first success that leads to the second and the third and the fourth success. And that's when you're going to have massive success in life and be able to complete huge projects. It all starts with your ability to have discipline in the smallest of tasks at the beginning, because that's going to create a belief in yourself, a belief in what you can do that allows you to all of a sudden be better than everybody else, because you know that you woke up early, you know that you're not eating sugar, you know that you're taking cold showers, and you never stop the habit. Until, of course, you know, if something changes, like for me, the slow carb diet changed a lot of it with the 4-Hour Body. That was so cool. Like I can eat sugar every week now. That is awesome. It's so great. So I don't know. I probably talk more about that over in the general membership area. And you guys have seen the book review for the 4-Hour Body. Like that's just so freaking cool. So I'll link some of that stuff below, which is just really cool. But that's how you establish that self-discipline, right? It all comes from just freaking like doing it. And do, you know, one thing at a time. It's really difficult to form multiple habits at the same time. Like I said, it takes, I think, like a couple weeks to 66 days to form a habit. So, you know, focus on one habit at a time, one win at a time. Change your behavior one thing at a time. And then once it becomes a habit, then you can move on to the next thing. And just be patient with it. And if it takes a year to fundamentally shift everything that you do in your life by creating like 5 new habits, like, wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that change your life? Please apply this and crush it. Create that self-discipline through the power of habit. Really cool stuff. So with that said, let's go on to numero 7. I think I'm going to go over here and we will just figure out if we run out of space. I feel like about yay far away from that side. I don't know. Did I say 7? I totally meant 6, but you know what? It's okay. It's not a big deal. So, ill health, right? Poor health. This one sucks, dude. Because, remember as I talked about earlier, like, a lot of health is internal. A really great example here. I was driving home. We just went to my grandparents' house. They live in North Carolina, and I'm going to really try my best here to draw this. They live in the Outer Banks, which is this area right over here in like the very tippy top of North Carolina. And I really trying here, guys. This is like South Carolina. This is North Carolina. This is Charlotte. And then it's like Atlanta's over here, right? So this is like, give or take, I flew here, and then I met my dad, and then we drove here to meet family, right? And I was writing copy, and it was just amazing. But on the way back, like oh, whoops, I thought it was on the other eraser. My bad. On the way back, we decided that we were just gonna like drive home. So it's about, an 11-hour drive from here all the way to here. So about 4 hours in, basically the whole way there, I was reading the Tony Robbins book, which is awesome. I'm so excited to do the book review on that. And then the way back, I was reading that Robert Kiyosaki book I was just talking about. And I think the last module, Fake, which is cool stuff. I'll leave the reviews below. It's awesome content. And so we get about 4 hours in. We're about here-ish. And, I really didn't want to drive because I was really trying to finish this book. And so what happened was, my dad, he's like, look, let's pull over. We went to a gas station. And then he's like, look, you're going to drive. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to drive. Sounds good, man. He's like, hey, do you want to listen to an audiobook or read a book or something? And I was like, dude, honestly, it'd be awesome if you'd read that book. And then he's like, started reading that book, which was so nice. But what happened is on the way home, right, we get, about 20 minutes in, and I'm just like really not feeling good. The day before was cheat day with the 4-hour body stuff. And so like I went crazy. It was amazing. It was the best. It was awesome. And so like I didn't really feel that good. I was starting to really not feel great. And so what happened is I said, hey dude, I don't feel so good. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. And my body was not liking it. And about a couple minutes later, right, like I had to pull over. I was outside of the car basically throwing up. I was like throwing up. It was disgusting, lightheaded, like nauseated. It was terrible. And my dad thinks I had like motion sickness because I was trying to read earlier while we were driving, and like you focus on a book and then it doesn't let you like comprehend the surroundings that are around you. But what I think it really was, it's poor health, but it's like self-induced psychosomatic health. So it's like I really didn't want to drive, right? So I realized that like if I just like threw up everywhere and then like passed out from being sick, like I wasn't gonna have to drive. And it's a stupid thing to say and it sounds ridiculous, but you have a significant influence on your health. And we talked about it earlier with the process of auto-fulfillment, right? With the guy who committed mental suicide. Like a lot of health is just what's in your head. And if you can change what's in your head and be like, look, I'm super happy, I can't wait to drive home, it's gonna be awesome, then you're not gonna get sick, right? But if you have a negative connotation with you, like, dude, I don't know if I really want to drive because his car is, it's his car, it's, I don't know, it's just biggie. And I was not feeling it that day, which was, honestly, it sucks. It was a dumb thing to do, but I don't know, man, my body just created its own poor health because of my mental state. So poor health a lot of times comes down to mental state, right? And if you can change your mental state, you can change your health. And if you can change your health, then you'll be A-okay. And it all comes down to that internal mindset, making sure that you believe you're healthy, you believe you'll succeed, you'll believe that you are in control of everything that you have, right? I hope you guys appreciated the drawing there. It was a big effort. So let's see what Hill has to say about this the situation. No person may enjoy outstanding success without good health. Many of the cases of ill health are subject to mastery and control. These, in the main, are overeating of foods not conducive to health, wrong habits of thought giving expression to negatives, wrong use of and overindulgence in sex, lack of proper physical exercise, and an inadequate supply of fresh air due to improper breathing, right? It's all created self-fulfilling prophecy. This is on page 138. It's an insanely powerful list. He's talking about these ways where you can seriously mess up your body, mess up your health, like because of your habits, right? You want to make sure you have great habits instead of bad habits. And if you have terrible habits of overeating or indulgence or negative thoughts, right? That's seriously going to mess you up. You can't be truly wealthy if you don't have proper physical exercise. I remember in Fake, Robert, he talks about how he was in this theater and there was this guy. He was one of the richest people in Canada. He was like multi-billionaire, really big guy, like huge in the financial space. And he comes to sit down next to like him and his daughter, and this is, you know, Robert. This is Robert, his daughter, right? And then daughter. And they're having an awesome time out in the theater. And then this guy walks in. He's got 2 security guards behind him, like guarding him, because he's like this massive guy. He's super special and important. But then he comes and he sits down. He sits down next to them, and he takes up freaking 3 seats because he's just insane. He's so massive. He's like wheezing. He's sweating and like totally tired just from a short walk to the front of the theater to watch this performance. And he's got like fat like spilling over into the seats next to him, which is ridiculous, right? He had terrible health, no discipline in exercise and personal growth and fitness, and because of that, he had this awful life. He was literally killing himself. He was killing himself because he didn't understand the importance of health. So, really powerful concept here. And I think also Tony Robbins talks about it in Money Master the Game, is like having total life success. And this story, you know, might have actually been from Tony Robbins. One of those 2 books. I'll have the reviews below. They're both very great. And in those, you know, it really makes you focus on what matters and understand that, like, it's not all money, right? You have to have this quality discipline in your life to create the health you want, to create the success that you want, which is so important. So, with that said, let's move on to numero 7. Unfavorable environmental influences during childhood. Poor childhood. Guys, you gotta overcome this. This is internal, right? This is your mental limiting beliefs, all right? As the twig is bent, so shall the tree grow. Most people who have criminal tendencies acquire them as a result of bad environment and improper associates during childhood, right? So this is the idea of, you know, who you are naturally versus the environment you grow up, nature versus nurture, right? And the idea that if you have a bad environment, you're a bad person, the world's gonna end and won't be successful. You have to overcome this belief, right? Because people come from terrible environments all the time. People, you know, like Donald Trump was from Queens, right? Like it was a slum, you know, it was tough for him. And it gave him a significant disadvantage of the people that were born on Main Street, right? Or, you know, luxury areas. But he overcame that. So you have to overcome bad backgrounds. Because look, bad backgrounds are not bad backgrounds. Bad backgrounds, it's opportunity. It's forcing you to learn, right? Opportunity, growth. Like these are what you get from, you know, any background. And the idea is that the focus of your life has to come from your development, your overcoming of obstacles. You overcome these obstacles in your life, you get rid of them so they're not bad, and now you use your background to your advantage, right? You leverage it. Focus on all the amazing things you've done and use that as fuel for the rest of your life by knowing that nothing can stop you and you have total confidence, belief, and conviction in everything that you do to have surreal levels of massive success in your life. Very powerful concept. All comes from this idea that nothing can stop you, childhood included. My childhood, pretty freaking rough. Not gonna focus on it, not gonna let it hold me back, not going to worry about it whatsoever. Only look towards that overarching long-term goal and use everything else as fuel to get there, because you are the engine, you are the steamboat. You can make it happen. Sound good? Great. Procrastination. I feel like procrastination is like pretty natural. And this is why it's important to have deadlines, right? Because stuff gets happened when deadlines are involved. This is one of the most common causes of failure. Old man procrastination stands within the shadow of all people, awaiting the opportunity to spoil their chances of success. Most of us go through life as failures because we are waiting for the time to be right to start doing something worthwhile. Do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand. Work with whatever tools you may have at your command, and better tools will be found as you go along. Guys, this is huge. Oh my gosh. Look, people, they waste time, they procrastinate. I did it myself for so many years of my life, just I didn't know that I was able to achieve. I didn't understand the power of the secret formula. which is cool, right? But like the focus on this is like you've got to overcome it, you got to crush through it. A good way to do this, right, is to set deadlines. So if you want something done, by how in the world do you set deadlines? All right, if you want something done, you set a deadline for it, and all of a sudden make it freaking happen. All right, but here's the important part with this, and this is, that's really just the basis of the one thing, and then the goals that are subsequently in the one thing, which is, I'll have the book review below, all that good stuff for you guys. But what he talks about here is not being able to start, right? And the need to launch, right? Instead of waiting and not getting any of this stuff done, you gotta make it happen. Need to go and freaking do it hard, 100,000%. Your maximum capacity, launch that stuff and crush it, right? And that's the point with it, is that you overcome, you make it happen, because the time is never right? And he talks about that too, is you have to make it the right time. And if you're able to make it the right time, all of a sudden, you can make anything you want happen, because honestly, if you can just get that first 10% done, like you've basically done the entire thing, and the only difference between now and success is just the actions you need to take to make it happen, because you've personally committed to the journey. And once you commit to the journey, procrastination fades away. As long as you have solid deadlines, everything works out, because you're in the process. You gotta be addicted to the process. You gotta love the process. If you love the process, for me, I love trading. It's amazing. Freaking never wanna stop. If you're addicted to that, procrastination will totally fade away, because you get so much joy from just doing it. And the only way to figure that out is to get out there and try stuff and make it freaking happen and do it, okay? Push it, 100%, 1000%, make it happen. So, number 9, lack of persistence. Again, guys, coming back down to the power of habit. Habit is what allows you to be persistent. And also having a daily journal is huge. Daily journals that give you that, when you're mapping out the time for the next day, you're mapping out the time frame. That's why I made mine with like the hour by hour, 15-minute calendar. It lets you know exactly how you're gonna spend your time, and allows you to be persistent by blocking out time to get whatever you want to be persistent at done. We'll see what Hill has to say about this. Most of us are good starters but poor finishers of everything we begin. You have to commit and be totally convinced that when you start something, you finish it and you succeed with it. Moreover, people are prone to give up at the first sight of defeat. There is no substitute for persistence. Guys, I'll tell you what, I was in the middle of November. It's about a month and a half done from finishing 9 to noon, finishing writing it. And dude, it was hard as heck. But I realized that like there were so many people that book was gonna change the lives of. And what did I do? I found persistence through daily scheduling and by focusing on the impact that the work was gonna have on so many people. And all of that comes from your internal ability to persist and discover that old man failure finally becomes tired and goes away, because failure cannot cope with persistence. Keep going hard. Keep making it happen. Deliver so much value, right? Deliver a ridiculous amount of value through your work, and that's gonna lead to that success. It's right around the corner. You just gotta put the work in up front, and then it arrives, and then you get there, right? And it all comes down to never stopping. So for me, like, you just had to keep writing, keep trading, keep trading, especially when you're starting out in financial markets, trading 9 to noon. Like, it's gonna suck at the beginning if you go a week, 2 weeks without a winning trade, which is very hard to do. But for some people, that's how they start off, because they have a mindset that they aren't gonna be successful, and they have to shift that mindset and realize that, look, you know what? I just lost, $500 over the past 2 weeks. Like, honestly, if I'm able to pay that much in market tuition, like, I think I can be successful at this. I think I can win at this. I think I'm a successful person. I can succeed. And then they unlock, right? You want to unlock belief in yourself and use that belief in yourself as fuel for your growth, fuel for persistence, fuel for success, because it all comes down to doing it over and over again. Because look, nobody's going to buy a book that's like half finished, and there's just like, for me, like 150 blank pages. Like people won't buy that, There's no point in going 50%. There's no point in going 75%. The only way to go is 100 plus, 120%. Give it everything you have and never regret a single thing that you do because you know that you gave it all. And there's no stepping back from it. It was 100, it's all out there. When you feel like you're running in the streets naked, that's when you know that you've done a good job and you've put it out there for everyone and you created the value that you want to create to create that income that you need. Make sense? Sound good? Awesome. Let's go to number 10. I'm gonna do it over here. Negative personality. Oh my gosh, guys, please, 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 please don't have a negative personality. There is no hope of success for the person who repels people through a negative personality. Success comes through the application of power, and power is attained through the cooperative efforts of other people. Right? You must happily work with other people. Happily work with others. It's a team, right? You're a team. And you create so much more as a team. You can have such a bigger impact working together than you can ever have alone. A negative personality will not induce cooperation, right? That's bad, bad, bad stuff. That stuff is not gonna help you succeed. It will not let you win. And so because of that, you got to make sure you have this positivity that attracts other people and brings them towards you rather than, you being, out on your own, not working well, because that's not going to be good. That's just not how you're going to succeed, which sucks. So just make sure you understand the importance behind that, importance of the persistence, and you crush it with that persistence. Make sense? Sound good? All right. Awesome. So let's move on to number 11. Lack of controlled sexual urge. Can't control urges. Sex energy is the most powerful of all the stimuli that move people into action. Because it is the most powerful of emotions, it must be controlled through transmutation and converted into other channels. Right? Huge, huge. And we're going to talk about this more as we get to sex transmutation. But you must control sex emotions and then channel them into productive output. I mean, this is huge, right? It's all about this control. You got to have control, and you use that control to fuel your growth, fuel your commitment to yourself, and freaking go out there and crush it. And it all comes down, this is such a powerful, powerful concept. I feel like I can't do it justice in this video. There's a whole chapter on this, and we'll get to that very, very soon. So, number 12, uncontrolled desire for something for nothing, right? You want to get something for nothing. Something for nothing, guys, that does not work. You cannot do that. Remember, we talked about establishing value and then creating money from that value. If you're not creating value, it's like trying to withdraw from a bank account that has no money in it. It's just not going to happen. The gambling instinct drives millions of people to failure. Evidence of this may be found in a study of the dot-com fiasco in the early 2000s, during which millions of people tried to make money by investing in fly-by-night companies, right? It's this idea that, if every company is going to go up, then I'm going to have massive, massive, massive gains with, no risk. And that investing mentality really messed up a lot of people. I know a lot of people, they got burned hard in the dot-com crash. Specifically, I had this one guy, he invested in Red Hat, and then these guys crashed hard. And we were talking about it because of the recent acquisition of Red Hat by Microsoft for billions of dollars. And the fundamental shift was that this was like a long-term play, but he was treating it as this get-rich-quick thing where he was going to get something for nothing. And because of that, so many people, they got screwed. And you don't want to get screwed. And the way you stop that from happening is by understanding that it's so important to give value, create value in the marketplace, learn value, or execute value through technical analysis, and you use technical analysis to freaking crush it because you put the work in up front, and the work that you put in creates value, and then obviously you find high probability setups and just crush those financial markets with technical analysis. Those two words freaking changed my life, and I hope beyond the shadow of a doubt that they change yours too. 13. Lack of a well-defined power of decision. No decision power. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. Indecisive, right? This is really, really bad, especially if you want to be a leader. Being indecisive. Being indecisive will shatter your reputation because you need to be in top of the team and make hard decisions and stick with those decisions in times when times get tough, right? And so it's super, super important that you're able to, we'll see what Hill has to say about it, but like if you're leading a team and you're wishy-washy on everything, like you're not a good leader. must be polarizing, must be compelling, must change the game for the people that you work with. So if you're successful and you do need to change a decision, you make that decision, if needed, very, very, very slowly. So you have to be a very fast decision maker and a slow decision changer. And most of the time you don't want to change your decision, but if there's something that's obviously wrong and you definitely need to change course, make the decision slowly and remember everything that's, in the matter of importance that it has in the situation, and use it to your advantage to crush it by taking into consideration all the individual aspects of the decision and the impacts the decision will have on you, your company, whatever it is you want to do. Okay? People who fail reach decisions, if at all, very slowly and change them frequently and quickly. So they make, off-the-cuff investments. They don't do their research, and then if, this is a really great example, right? Is like having little stock research, especially for a long-term pick, and then what happens is the stock, maybe it goes up really, really high, and people buy high because they're like, oh my god, the stock's doing amazing, it's so great, it's gonna go up to a bajillion, and then it crashes, and then they sell low, right? And this is a very, very common investing cycle where there's like euphoria, and where there's euphoria, people buy because of emotion. This is why we use technical analysis, right? Technical analysis cuts out this emotion crap and focuses on facts and numbers so that you can buy, right, when people are freaking out, right? The sell low is panic, right? And panic you can identify through technical analysis, obviously, to create, if you're looking at, stochastics. These are all in the book in part 2. Stochastics, MACD. A really powerful one I've been using a lot more lately is %B, Bollinger Bands. Those are killer indicators. They allow you to identify where it's super low and buy when people are panicking, but you know that this is seriously a bottom because of these technical indicators. And obviously you gain experience over time. You get better and better and better at it. And you also know when to sell. When there's euphoria, like the stochastics are sky high, you understand that you need to make a slow decision to sell because usually it'll keep going up for a while. But if you set a stop loss at trailing 5%, it hits that stop loss, you're out of the position. And that euphoria fades away, everyone loses, but you're out of that because you use technical analysis, which is so powerful. So technical analysis, especially in financial markets, is one of those tools that'll allow you to make decisions slowly and then stick with them, or make decisions quickly, right? Because technical analysis allows you to make quick decisions, and based on the facts and the indicators and the setups, you make quick decisions, and then you slowly change your decisions as the time moves on and the stock plays out. So for instance, if you see a setup where you have maybe a head and shoulder setup and the stock goes up, does this, head and shoulder setup, this is from the stock training, this is from the book, you guys know this stuff if you've gone through any of that content, which please go pause this, go watch the stock trainings, chapter 33 in the book, and then you see a setup here, you make a snap decision to say, look, I'm gonna short this shoulder, right, short, because this is a head and shoulder setup, you got your neckline right here. Your potential downside, if I'm guessing approximately, is about that high. And then you make a slow change in your decision. So if the stock goes down, and then it goes down and down and down, and it goes to your target, you slowly decide, all right, time to sell, we're all good. If the stock goes up, you slowly decide, okay, crap, this is not going my way, I'm gonna cut it out, this is my stop loss, I'm done with the trade. And now you have 1, 2, 3 units of reward per 1 unit of risk. Just depends on the trade. Obviously, higher multiples are better, but technical analysis, right, is where you make that quick decision at that moment of importance and then slowly change your decision if necessary at all. And obviously, you have your target. That just comes through technical analysis. Very powerful concept. Indecision and procrastination are twins. When one is found, the other may usually be found also. Kill off this pair before they completely tie you to the treadmill of failure. Harsh stuff, guys. So we got that taken care of. We're gonna move on to number 14. 14 is a little bit of a trick one because we'll get to it more later. It's the 6 basic fears, and we're gonna talk a lot more about the 6 basic fears in chapter 15. So just a little bit away, but again, you've got to master these fears before you can market your services effectively. You have to overcome your barriers and really just take control over your life, your mentality, your beliefs, and allow yourself to be successful. Give yourself, permission to succeed. And again, we will move into these a little bit more once we get to that part of the book, which is so cool. So, number 15. Wrong selection of a mate in marriage. Bad spouse. Yikes. This is the most common cause of failure. The relationship of marriage brings people intimately into contact. Unless this relationship is harmonious, failure is likely to follow. Moreover, it will be a form of failure marked by misery and unhappiness, showing all signs of ambition. This is really messed up, man. You will destroy ambition if you have a terrible relationship and just a bad marriage, right? So it's important to make sure that you handle this part right. And we'll talk about it more in the chapter about sex transmutation. But this is like super important that you're careful about what happens and you make the right choice, because wrong selection of a mate, most common cause of failure, really bad stuff. You don't want that to be your problem, because that's a problem that will bleed throughout the rest of your life, and it's a problem that's so easy to avoid. Just gotta figure out exactly what you're going for, make it happen. And I'm talking from a book here, to be honest, so I'm gonna move on to the next part. Over caution. The person who takes no chances generally has to take whatever is left when others have finished choosing. Over caution is as bad as under caution. Both are extremes to be guarded against. Life itself is filled with the element of chance. Guys, this is huge. You cannot be overcautious. Like, if you're not willing to fail, you must be willing to fail. Because look, in any aspect, in any challenge, you have to be willing to fail, okay? Like, think about whatever you want to achieve, and like, just understand that it's going to take 10 times more effort and 10 times the amount of time that you think it'll take, but you have to make it work, and you have to make it happen. And there are always going to be failures in, asset markets, whatever it is you're working in, right? Like, it doesn't matter the growth curve you're on. At some point, there's going to be a mess up, and you're going to have to recover and then succeed off of that, right? So for me, like, that would probably be like losing 100 grand. Like, that freaking sucked. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to lose, because if you're not pushing yourself to the limit to fail, you fail when you push yourself to the limit. When you push yourself too hard, that's when you fail. That's when you know that you're succeeding. That's when you know you're on the right path. That's the time for you, because you can learn from those mistakes, grow from those mistakes, and have tremendously higher levels of wealth and success in my life. This taught me so much about mentality and asset liquidity. It fundamentally shifted like my entire viewpoint to capital markets and brought me to where I am today. There's no chance I would be successful without this experience as to where I am today. It's crazy. So you have to understand that failures will make you who you are, and they are crucial. You want to be pushing yourself hard. You want to go 100%, because when you go 100%, you're going to mess up, you're going to fail, you're going to face challenges that are so huge, and that's when you learn, that's when you grow, that's when you understand how to overcome all obstacles to have maximum success and fulfillment in your life based on your ability to take risks and understand that risks are necessary. Guys, look, we can think about this in a much simpler way. If you're thinking about being an overcautious investor, what a lot of people do, because they're freaking insane, is they leave their money in like bank accounts, or they leave their money in CDs, or they leave their money in treasury bonds. And hopefully, if you're watching this video, you've read at least like the first 5 chapters of 9 to Noon. I think I cover pretty much all this stuff in 9 to Noon. Like it was one of the first chapters where I look at low risk investments. You look at very risk averse, right? Like no risk, very minimal risk, like money market accounts, right? Versus the people that understand that risk is necessary, especially for like longer term portfolios, right? And they have their stuff, in index funds, global equity, corporate bonds, whatever, right? We talk about asset allocation throughout the entire book, and it's a super important thing to do, right? Maybe they're swing trading, and maybe they have, gold, commodities, I don't know, whatever they're into. And then also, we talk about it so much more in chapter 35 for asset allocation and diversification purposes of best things to invest in. But for long term, right, like there are risks in these products, there are risks in these assets. This has risk, this has risk, this has risk, all these things have risk. This stuff is basically no risk. Unless the U.S. government explodes, which can totally happen, or the bank explodes, which can totally happen, but very minimal risk. Minimal risk. And so what that does is you look at the return over here, the return is extremely low. And then you look at the return over here, and the return is extremely high. In any given period. Just give it any amount of significant time and continue investing. You're going to have higher returns with more risk. So by being overcautious, you're really limiting your returns from just a standard caution investment portfolio. So think about it like how you can apply that in your life, right? Like where are you being ridiculously careful and maybe ease off a little bit, let stuff happen, let stuff work itself out, so that you're in a better situation to take advantage of risks to create higher returns and rewards in your life instead of just focusing on the easy guaranteed stuff. You're really focusing more on that growth internally and in your portfolio, so you understand what you're investing in and you use that as fuel to create outperforming returns in the marketplace. Very powerful stuff. You got to be willing to fail. School teaches you not to fail. It's stupid. You got to get over it. You have to be able to fail. So important. Number one thing, without a doubt, is the ability to take on a project and be totally and completely okay with the idea that you might fail. I spent a year writing a book and making this course, right? Like stuff like this. Like I'm not 100% sure if a ton of people are going to buy it, but I'm willing to fail because I know that there's so much value here and I care so much about it. I know it'll change. If I could just change one person's life, drastically change their life, like it'd be worth it. Be worth 100%. And the idea that like I can change millions and millions of people's lives by doing it over and over and over and over with scalable online business is like, it's huge, right? It's huge. But there's risk, and that's like what it's, entrepreneurial risk. Like that just happens. That's just what it is. So you have to be willing, over all else, willing to fail. Right? WTF. Gotta be willing to fail. It's just straight facts. No other way around it. Must be willing to fail. Sound good? Makes sense? All right. Important that you take in this concept, you understand it, and if a decision comes where you're going to make a risk, you're going to put up an investment, you're willing to fail with that investment. You understand the risk, you understand the upside, you make the best decision possible for you, your family, people you're working with, any of that stuff. Got to make sure. Willing to fail. Cool. So let's go on to number 17. Wrong selection of associates in business. Oh man, guys, I'm telling you, this one's almost about like basically your business partner, right? You're like basically married to them, right? So if you have a great business partner, you're gonna have an amazing business marriage, right? But bad business partner can have the same impact that we talked about in 15 about a bad mate. Like you have to be careful here. Hill says, this is one of the most common causes of failure in business. In marketing your services, you should take great care to select an employer who will be an inspiration and who is intelligent and successful. We emulate those with whom we associate most closely. Pick an employer who is worth emulating. Pick an employer, pick a business partner, whatever, but make sure that the people you work with are worth emulating, worth modeling, right? You want to pick great people to work with and have those great people shape you, right? So we talked about this, we're going to talk about the mastermind principle. If you're working with like 5 people and these are like your bosses, your managers, people that you're working with, and these are all amazing, amazing, amazing people, you want that amazing stuff, amazingness, to rub off on you. And you don't want hatred or negativity or any of that stuff to rub off. It's all about, greatness. So that's why you want to work with people that are great to be with and also will promote your business. If you're working on like your own venture, right? You want to make sure that everybody's in alignment with their goals so that when you're working on projects, everybody's on the same page and you can continue to work towards an overarching long-term goal without having short-term conflicts that create problems and pattern interrupts in the development process for whatever it is you're trying to do at your work, right? Super important. Makes sense. And just keep it in mind, make sure you apply it, make sure you're very careful. This is one example where, you're very slow to hire people. You're very slow to commit to somebody with a contract. A little bit opposite of quick decision making. With people, you need to be slow to hire and fast to fire. So you take a very extraneous process up front and you try to understand exactly who you're working with over an extended period of time by talking to them, talking to their references, and then you bring them on board after solid consideration. And if they perform well, that's awesome. If they don't perform well and they're bad and they're not helping the team and there's a serious issue, or maybe if you're getting a job somewhere and it's not helping you grow and it's seriously messing up your personal development and you have other options, you're fast to fire, right? You get out of there. You're out quick. Right? So slowly figure out where you want to be and then quickly get out if something goes wrong. Find the right fit, make it work. It should be like a good marriage. All right, makes sense? Cool. Let's go to 18. Superstition and prejudice. Superstition is a form of fear. It is also a sign of ignorance. People who succeed keep open minds and are afraid of nothing. Big stuff. You gotta have an open mind, right? You don't want to be prejudiced. Don't want to have superstition. Open mind, accept other people, right? This comes back to the idea that it's super important to be a team player and to work with other people and collaborate with them to create tremendous results in the marketplace with new projects, new growth. And it all comes down to this idea that you're working with a team and you can't be prejudiced to some guy just because of the color of his skin, maybe the way someone talks, something like that. Like, you have to accept everybody as equals because you're working together as equals and you're growing together. Team mentality. It all comes down to this idea that you accept the other people, have an open mind, everyone grows together, and because of that, you're able to create results, right? So whatever it is you're working on, maybe you're in a firm and you're doing legal work, right? So you win the case, right? Win the case, whatever it is that makes you a winner. Win case, I don't know, engineer something, develop something. It all comes down to your ability to work together as a team and crush it, right? Super cool, super important stuff. And just use that as fuel for your growth, no matter what stage you're in. You always want to make sure that people are open to each other and different ideas flow, because here's the deal, right? Perspective is huge, and this is like so powerful. The idea, and this is a really great example too, is it's super valuable to have different minds, because different minds on a team lead to different perspectives, and different perspectives can fundamentally change the way that you work. I've had this happen so many times where I was in a team meeting or a project with Monerads, and I was thinking about how we were going to do something, and it was like the most amazing idea ever, and I was like, this is going to be amazing. And one of the team members, one of the coaches came and he's like, yo, there's this one little thing you just said that like probably actually wouldn't work. And I was like, whoa, I didn't realize that, man. Other people were like, yeah, dude, you can't really do that. And so it was just having these different people in the room that understood it just a little bit differently. They had a little bit of a different viewpoint than I did. All of a sudden, we're able to work together, overcome the problem, and go to a greater solution and check it off, fix it, make it happen, and create the product needed for the marketplace. All because you have different perspectives coming together to work on a project that's so much bigger than an individual, so much greater. I mean, you got to understand, you have a team of 10, 20 people working together. You're exponentially more productive than one person. It's just insane. It's ridiculous. And that's the power of a team. And also the power of perspective. So here's another really great example in advertising, and then we'll move on. There were these guys, and they were running, I forget the company, but they were advertising internationally. And one of their ads was in Japanese, I think. And the advertisement, oh, it was Tide. Yeah, that's what it was. It was Tide. So Tide was running this ad, and the ad was basically that there's going to be a shirt on one side of the TV screen that is very, wow, that was a really amazing shirt drawing. It's really dirty. It's got stains everywhere, and it's yucky shirt. And then in the middle of the screen, there's, this pedestal, and it's like Tide clothing cleaner, and it's like the best thing in the whole world, right? And it's like, oh, Tide, yeah, woohoo, yay. And then on the other side of the Tide, there was like this clean shirt, and the message was like, hey, Tide makes your clothes clean, you should go buy it, that's a nice shirt. And so they were running this in, I think it was Japanese, or maybe it was Korean, and it's probably Japanese, and they were doing all the audio for it, all the translations, and there was a team of about, I think it was like 5 or 6 people that were managing this, and everyone thought it was awesome. It was this team lead's idea to do it, and he thought up the design for the ad and how they were going to run it and how it was going to be like dirty to clean, right? Makes sense? All because of, the Tide in the middle, right? And that's the whole point, is like the Tide makes your clothes clean. And they were right about to go to market. They were right about to pay millions of dollars to air this ad all over TV in Japan. But then this last person on the team, they went to the team lead and they said, hey, I'm from Japan, and, I was realizing, I speak their language, right? And they read, unlike America, from left to right, going this way to cleanly, they actually read right to left. So what they're gonna see is a clean shirt over here actually becoming a dirty shirt, because that's the way that they read, that's their literature. And this guy over here was like, what the freak? He had no clue, right? He just never thought of that at all. Because his perspective wasn't to think about how these, he was a white guy from America. Like, he didn't care. He didn't know about international cultural diversity. And so for him, having this team member from Japan enabled him to really save a whole bunch of money on a campaign that probably would have made people think that Tide made shirts dirty, because people read differently internationally, right? There are different perspectives in any project, and the way to harness those perspectives is really to fundamentally understand what the heck is going on with people and use that as fuel to create a team that's balanced, and everybody on that team has a different perspective, so they can look at problems independently, and if something needs to happen, it's a safe environment where that fifth person could come out and say to the team leader, look, this is a serious issue, because of the language change, right? And because of that, they saved a whole bunch of money on that TV ad, right? They were never wasting money on it, which was awesome. Really, really, really powerful stuff, because they had this team member who had a different perspective, and they were able to come out and share it with this person who was a leader, and the leader had an open mind. So remember, you got to keep an open mind. You have to listen to different perspectives, and make sure, especially when someone on your team points something out to you, that you take it as a serious matter of concern and come together to solve it, work it out together as a group. And then, you can fix the problem, run the ad, except instead of, you run it the other way, run it with the clean shirt over here and the dirty shirt over here. And, now you're going to have a much more effective marketing campaign, since you have, a campaign that's actually tailored to the audience that you're trying to target, right? So just fundamental shift in the way they worked, and it all came from their individual ability to really create a team environment where people could speak up, be open-minded, and change the way they work. Very powerful concept. Take this, apply it, create a diverse team, and crush it with whatever working environment that you're in, all right? Sound good? You promise to do it? Pause this video, watch it again, do whatever you need to do to make this principle happen. Awesome. Number 19, wrong selection of a vocation. Pick the wrong work. No one can succeed in a line of endeavor they do not like. The most essential step in marketing your services is selecting an occupation into which you can throw yourself wholeheartedly. This is so important. Guys, look, I love to make a lot of money and be a doctor and just crush it. Like, when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a doctor, and I'm gonna just make a whole ton of money. But like, I hate blood so much. I would never be a doctor. Like, it's awesome, doctors are amazing. But like, oh my God, I could never do it. It's just, it's not my thing. And that dream started to wash away, and I was like, well, why would I want to do that? And I was thinking, well, it just comes down to money. And you gotta overcome that, right? So when I started investing and trading 9 to noon, like, it was never about money. It was like, wow, this is freedom, this is fun, this is amazing, this is awesome. I fell in love with it. I just love it, right? You gotta try enough stuff out so you can find something that makes it work, and then learn to love something that you can have for the rest of your life. And that's the principle. Like, you're not necessarily, if you love something and you work super hard at it, the money will come. Like, that's pretty BS. You have to find something that makes money and learn to love it. But you definitely like, you find something profitable. For me, like, I found stocks and they were amazing profitable, and learn to love it, right? Instead of trying to force yourself into something that's like seriously not your area of expertise. Like, I hate being a doctor, even though they're so awesome. It's just not my thing. So don't try to force yourself into something just because it it makes more money or whatever. Like, you have to find something profitable and learn to love it. Because picking the wrong work will be terrible misery. I couldn't imagine myself working in a hospital. I would just hate it. Like, long hours, like, that's ridiculous. It's just, it's just insane. Crazy. You don't have any control over your time. Like, I just would not. It's just gross, and there's blood. Ugh. You gotta make sure you pick the right work. Don't just do something because you heard that it can make a whole bunch of money. Like, that's not usually a great thing to do. And if you learn to love it after you start trying it out, like, that's awesome, right? Like, if you've never heard of the stock market before you read 9 to noon, then you read 9 to noon and you start trying to try it out because you think you can make a whole bunch of money, which is awesome. Totally can make a whole bunch of money. It's amazing. And then you just love it. It just freaking works well for you. You learn to love it. Like, that's great, that's amazing. That's so powerful. But make sure you really do have something that you're doing, because, give it time, right? I'd say minimum, give it something. If you really want to try something, give it like a half a year to a year of solid, consistent effort. I see so many people that were working at Subway, and they would come and they would work minimum wage jobs for like 2 weeks, and they'd say, well, you know what? I don't think this whole working thing's for me. I'm just gonna quit and go home and play video games all day. Like you can't do that, man. You gotta stick with it, be consistent with it, and give yourself a solid, half a year plus a year to learn and figure out if it's for you. and figure out if it's not for you. You know, I figured out in about a year that I wasn't going to work a minimum wage service job for the rest of my life. But I got so much valuable experience from it, and it fundamentally changed my life. You know, I would not be where I am today without Subway. So you're going to learn so much, and it's just about picking the work that'll grow you, even if it's not necessarily the perfect work for you. It's work that's not the wrong work. It's work that's good, right? Like, maybe if I got a job at McDonald's, like, I don't know if that'd be the right work for me. Subway was cool because, like, it was just me a lot of the times, or me with, like, one other person. And so there was, like, this sense of independence and management that I got, where I was able to, like, you know, set definite team goals and then work with other people, collaborate with them, lead in a team environment with a very few number of people. So we were on our own. We were very independent and able to grow very closely. I'm much better at close relationships than a relationship with like 10,000 people at the same time, which would be, you know, most normal food service. So make sure you pick an environment, right? An environment tailored to your personality. You know, if you want to be a high achiever and you work in a high achieving team trading stocks all day, like, that's you. That's awesome. A lot of people, that's not them. So maybe they wouldn't want to do that. So you just have to find something that works for you, then stick with it for a solid amount of time and see if it freaking works. And if it doesn't work, take the education from it, be appreciative, be grateful, and find something that works, learn to love it, and crush it, right? Because once you can be passionate about something and just freaking, I don't know, for me, like, you know, I spent so much time, energy, effort, like writing 9 to Noon with no chance payoff, right? Like, you don't get paid, at least when you're writing your first book, like most people, if you don't have an audience or anything. Like, I wasn't getting like a forward from a publisher or like a payment to write. Like, it was all me. That's sort of like the motivation that comes when you find something that you just freaking love and you know you can help people with it. So, really powerful concept. Do not pick wrong work. Pick stuff that you freaking love. All right, number 20, lack of concentrated effort. Remember, this comes down to concentrated effort. This comes down to the one thing, right? So like setting up daily breakdowns of your goals and then being able to pursue those every day and then using that daily journal that you can use to actually create the success that you want with whatever it is that you're doing and go out there and crush it based almost entirely on your individual ability to plan, pre-plan, then make it work through a disciplined journal, schedule, reflection. Just amazing stuff. I mean, that's why I freaking wrote. That's why I made the daily journal. Changed my life. That mindset, the idea that like I'm in control, fundamentally shifted the output of myself in the marketplace. The jack of all trades is seldom good at any. Concentrate all your efforts on one definite chief aim. Oh my gosh, guys, this is huge. This comes back to that concept of specialization, right? Like, you don't want to be the general practitioner. You want to be the heart surgeon who removes third-degree burns from the left ventricular or whatever, right? You want to be so very specialized to have a definite chief aim, right? Makes sense? Definite chief aim. That's going to allow you to have total clarity and focus in everything that you do. Go out there and freaking crush it because of your ability to stick to this one thing, right? And crush it better than anybody else in the freaking world. That's where you get insane levels of value, insane levels of power, insane levels of growth, insane levels of success, insane levels of time, insane levels of freedom. Comes from your ability to master the one thing. Yeah, so book review below. That's a really good one. All right. I remember I was reading it in the library, actually, and it was such a fun time. There were these kids. I don't want to talk too much about this, but like, I was just sitting there and like, this lady had me like move because I was in the kids section, like just sitting there. There was nobody in the library. But because I was an adult in the kids section, they kicked me out. It was so weird because it's like people, they focus a lot of times on control, but a lot of times they need to control themselves. They try to control other people. So just focus, remember, with your chief definite aim. You want to control yourself here. You don't necessarily want to control other people. I mean, sure, if you're on a team environment and you're like CEO or something, or you're leading a team, like it makes sense. You need to have control over everybody. But try to make sure that you're focusing on what you can do. And then use what you can do to skyrocket your personal success and the development of yourself. So you go out there and you freaking crush it every single day. All based on this internal definite chief aim that allows you to have total focus on exactly what matters, which is you. You matter. All right, makes sense? Let's go to 21. The habit of indiscriminate spending. Spendthrifts cannot succeed mainly because they stand eternally in fear of poverty. Form the habit of systematic saving by putting aside a definite percentage. Money in the bank gives you a very safe foundation of courage when bargaining for the sale of your services. Without money, You must take what you are offered and be glad to get it. This is huge, right? When we talk about this over in the general membership area, taking like 40% of your income and saving and investing it, right? After you have, like an emergency fund or whatever. This is huge, right? Because it's such a huge difference between poor you and a wealthy you. So on one side, if you're trying to negotiate a job and you have like $2 in your bank account, and your guy, he's talking about pay, and he's like, look, I'll pay you, this much money, $12 for this service. And you're like, look, dude, I know that my service is worth $24. Like, this is bogus, dude. And then this guy's like, look, I don't care, I'm only paying you $12. And you have $2 in your bank account, and you need to make rent this month, and rent this month is $813. You've got to freaking go, versus a situation where maybe you have, I don't know, solid emergency fund, like 6 months of expenses. I think that's a little bit aggressive, but I don't know, like $2,000, right? You got $2,000 in your account. And now this guy offers you $12. He's like, look, I'll give you $12 to do this. And you're like, dude, no freaking way. I'm not taking $12. I know this is worth $24. I'm gonna spend the next 5 days looking for people that are gonna pay me $24, then charge them $24 instead of maybe having to be forced to take this $12 pay because, look, you don't have the time, right? You can't afford the time to have control over yourself. And a lot of times when you're starting out, that's a big case for a lot of people. But you have to remember, if I start charging people I don't know, $50 an hour to have one-on-one consults with them, like, people are going to expect me to charge $50 an hour. My time's worth way more than $50 an hour. There's not a chance I would do that for many people. But if I do it maybe for one friend or one person I know really well or one relative, this is why I look at the value of time. Like, time's the most valuable asset. And so make sure that when you're giving out your services and you're putting out products and whatever, especially when working for other people, you understand your internal values. And you keep striving to, you work for either the marketplace or for people that realize the full value you bring to the table. And based on, like we talked about earlier, drafting that resume, that cover letter, the CV, mostly the CV, like establishing your value and then giving yourself the flexibility of time with a basis of cash, right? So you're not wasting all your money on crap that doesn't matter. And this gives you freedom of choice in all aspects of your life because you know that you've got this cushion and you're able to take, wherever you are and turn it into a much better situation because dude, you've got the choice. It's all good choice. All right, makes sense, sound good? Let's move on to 22. Lack of enthusiasm. Oh man, this is a huge problem for so many people because they're just not ridiculously pumped up for everything they do. And guys, you got to be 100% without a doubt. If I start talking like this on video, I will sound very boring. You have to be pumped up, crushing it, going hard every day. Because the emotions that you put out, especially online, are ridiculously, they're shrunk, right? So I can be super excited normally, but I'll sound normal online. So I have to pump it up, be super awesome. And that ability to just go hard is what's gonna push you over to the next level. So you sound normal to other people and it makes sense for them based on where you are. Lack of enthusiasm. Without enthusiasm, no one can be convincing. Moreover, enthusiasm is contagious, and the person who has it under control is generally welcome in any group of people. Guys, this is huge! Enthusiasm equals conviction. And if you can convince people, right, convince people of your confidence, all of a sudden, you're able to lead a group of people, right? Lead a group. And when you lead a group, you can create a team, and that team can build a result in the marketplace. Can have tremendous levels of growth because once you have your confidence under control, you control a group of people, welcome a group of people, you're able to bring that enthusiasm to others, and now everybody gets pumped up together, right? It's a collective growth. And when everyone's growing together, everyone's working together, that's when you're gonna have the maximum impact in the marketplace, the maximum amount of growth possible, because it all stems from your ability to excite and to grow. And enthusiasm is the easiest way to do it because smiles are contagious, happiness is contagious, enthusiasm is the most contagious thing you can have in your life. If you're just ridiculously happy, we've talked about this earlier, right? Just be so happy. People are like, what is this guy on? You're gonna be able to have massive levels of success by working with other people, growing together, and making the best possible team growth in the world. It's amazing, so powerful. This one thing alone will change your life. Have a ridiculous level of enthusiasm. Now you might be saying, well, look, how am I supposed to do that? Look, I'll give you guys some pointers real quick because I know it's tough for some people. Not put this in green because it's important. Number one, you gotta change your state, right? Change your state. You gotta be pumped up. You gotta be excited. You gotta be happy. You gotta be so crazy awesome. When is Tony Robbins somewhere just a little bit ago? Blast super loud music, right? Just ridiculously loud music, whatever you like. Loud music, and then just freaking jump up and down. Jump and jump and jump and down, right? So just jump, just dance for like 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes on the aggressive side. This is so huge, and it's gonna sound ridiculously stupid. I want you guys to take advantage of this right now. Before I started making this video and after I came back from lunch, I played super loud music, was rocking it up and down and crushing it. It's just amazing. Best feeling ever. Then I sit down, I start recording. Okay, it's really, really hard for me to express this because I don't have like a video of me at this Tony Robbins seminar, but it was huge, right? Because what you would do is he would play this super loud music. He would say, everyone get off their stairs, everyone stand up, everyone go! And everyone jumps. Everyone goes up, 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 up. Everyone's pumping up, arms are up. You got like hundreds and hundreds of business people in this room, all in suits, crushing it. Bam, 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 bam. Huge, right? Massive, massive growth. It's all because of this music, which then empowers them internally to jump and dance and grow. And that's why music's such an ingrained part of my life. Because like music alone, just listening to music for fun or whatever, is usually kind of not the best use of time. You can listen to podcasts, you could be watching a course like this. But if you use it in very, very condensed periods of time as a way to change your state for a very short period of time, all of a sudden, it's an amazing way to shorten a transition that might normally take half an hour and turn that into about a 20-second transition, or maybe a 2-minute transition if you're listening to an entire song. So for me, how would I use this? On the way to school, right? I would drive to school with my brother, and I would always listen to podcasts on the way to school. And then when we got to school, like just a couple of minutes before we got there, I would turn on this insanely powerful, like electric music, EDM, hype. It was amazing. Best music. I love music. It's a Monster Cat private label from Canada. They're awesome. I love them. I would turn on this music and we would be in this car. We'd be going to school, pump up this music super, super hard, right? Just for me, right? Like, bam. And you know, it's not like ridiculously loud. You want to conserve your hearing and not get tinnitus because that kind of sucks. But you just have it going. And you listen to podcasts for like 95%. But in that last 5%, you now have this music that changes your state, right? And you're super excited. You're super pumped up. You're super bam, right? So then when you get to school or you get to job or you get to work or whatever, right? You're in a different state. You're so excited. You're like enthusiastic. You're above everyone else. And now everyone's like, wow, that's so cool. Let's go, right? Because you're changing your state. So look, seriously, like pause this video, pull up your favorite song, play it, you know, reasonably loud, like pretty freaking loud, and just jump up and down, okay? Just do it for the duration of the song, at least the hype parts. That's how you change your state. That's how you get enthusiastic. That's how you get hype. And then apply that into your secret formula, right? So you always want to remember to be excited by your long-term goals. Remember, we talked about instilling emotion when you recite your long-term goals twice a day, recite your secret formula. You want to use that as fuel too. That's going to be your biggest source of like long-term fuel, right? Like if you're thinking about a fire, that's going to be sort of like, you know, the charcoal at the bottom of the fire is your overarching long-term goal. And then you're throwing logs on the fire by doing this, you know, pumping up, phase changing, state changing exercise where you're fundamentally shifting your mindset, shifting your mentality, and just pumping up your emotions and your endorphins by using music as a tool to drastically increase the output of yourself and those around you in the marketplace by inspiring your team and inspiring everyone that you know to go out there and freaking crush it. All right, makes sense? Sound good? Let's go to number 23, intolerance. So this kind of goes back to, you know, being open-minded and working well with a team. And then, I talk about it way more in the NLP course, but like just strong social skills and emotional intelligence is huge. So intolerance. The person with a closed mind on any subject seldom gets ahead. Intolerance means that one has stopped acquiring knowledge. The most damaging forms of intolerance are those connected with religious, racial, and political differences of opinion. Look, here's the deal. If you're like a really mean guy and you're super intolerant of people, you have a closed mind, you're gonna have a serious problem acquiring knowledge, right? Intolerance stops you from acquiring knowledge. You know, courses like this, like in that last example, right? Acquiring knowledge. I told you guys to do something very specific and very actionable. I told you to get up, play your favorite song, jump up and down and be freaking crazy. Guarantee Like half the people who listen to that didn't do that. If you did do that, you're freaking awesome. If you did do that, pause this video and do it, because that'll change your state. It'll make you so pumped up, so enthusiastic. But for a lot of people, this intolerance where they have a closed mind on a subject and they don't appreciate other aspects. They don't look at other opinions, right? You have to value different viewpoints. And for a lot of people, they have a tough time valuing different viewpoints. And that's a serious problem for them, because it shifts the way that their team grows and the way everyone, works together. Be it religious, racial, political, whatever it is, you have to let all those differences flow away and get out of the team environment so that you can grow together and you can have massive success as a group. I mean, this is just the importance of like teamwork and growth and, friendship, right? Like, friendship is magic. Like, I don't know, man, that TV show changed my life. It's amazing. So please overcome this intolerance and make it happen. Make sense? Sounds good? 24. And it's intemperance. The most damaging form of intemperance are connecting with eating, strong drinking, and sexual activities. Overindulgence in any of these is fatal to success, right? So just overindulgence / intemperance. I mean, you guys, this makes sense, right? You gotta get it. Like too much of, whatever, alcohol, drugs, food, sex, whatever, too much is not, good. You guys know this stuff. This is pretty basic, but just make sure, take a step back, 10,000 foot view. This is you, this is your life, this is your house, this is your, every day, your daily actions are over here. Take a step back and step out of your body and say, look at like a 10,000 foot view. What am I doing with my life? What are the things I should probably not be doing with my life? And then stop doing the things that you probably should not be doing with your life. So for me, that was like eating like ridiculous amounts of food every day. I didn't start counting calories till like midway through freshman year when I started like actually taking serious control over my health, and I never realized that I was eating like 8,000 calories a day and I had no freaking clue, and it was all sugar and it was terrible for me because I didn't take this 10,000 foot view of my life. So just step back and take a look at what you're doing and say, maybe that's not a good thing to be doing. Ask yourself, is there anything right now that I am overindulging in? Is there something, not as a hit on myself, not as a remark, but, that could be really kind of holding me back and stopping me from achieving that full level of success I want in life? Take a step back. Take a moment to reflect. Ask. Understand the answers that come up. Think about it. Pause this video and seriously consider your daily habits and ask if they are actually destroying your chances of success. Very powerful concept here. Does that make sense? Hope that makes sense. We're gonna move on to 25. I'm just gonna kind of leave that. It's like a big shower. I'm like taking a big shower. Inability to cooperate with others. Oh my gosh. Guys, what have we been saying? What have we been saying? Inability to cooperate. More people lose their positions and their big opportunities in life because of this fault than for all other reasons combined. It is a fault which no well-informed business executive or leader will tolerate. This is huge. This is instant failure, right? This is an inability to cooperate. This is a lack of friendship skills. This is a fundamental inability to succeed with others, right? Build a team, build a group, and grow together. Remember, this is the number one reason of failure. Above all other combined, this single inability will fundamentally stop you from functioning, which is terrible, ridiculous, right? It all comes from this idea that like you need to be able to work as a team, you need to be able to grow together, you need to be work, in groups, right? Because the collective power of 6 people together is so ridiculously freaking huge. It's amazing, right? But that's not going to happen if you don't have friendship skills. It's not going to happen if you don't have social skills, don't have emotional intelligence. Social skills, emotional intelligence, that's, by the book, super powerful stuff. But also, like, fundamentally, applicable friendship lessons, right? And this is why, I spent so much time, Less Sins, watching, like, every episode of My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, like multiple times, like 3+ times, depending on the episode, right? It's because this, like, I know it's so important to be able to get this team together and develop these skills. And I mean, that's really why, like, I've made that course on My Little Pony, right? Is Like, I feel it's just crazy, and it sounds so ridiculously stupid, but I mean, this show like literally changed my freaking life, because it allows you to get all these skills and so much more by learning from the actions of these characters that just one way or another fundamentally shift your internal belief and mindset with how to look at friendship and how to build strong relationships. I know before I started watching My Little Pony, like I was no friends, right? Never, like, it was just total loser. Family relationships were terrible. School relationships, social relationships, awful. Totally unable to connect with people. But then I started going through this and learning all these principles over and over and over and getting them in my head. And this single thing is probably responsible for like a vast majority of my success after I left Subway and was able to grow with a team, start up companies, and work with peers in a group environment to, you know, manufacture Ethernet cables. Like, all these businesses I run, they all stem from these skills established in My Little Pony. So it's really powerful stuff here. That's why I made that course and actually went through every single episode to pull out the most important friendship lessons, because like in all reality, I would not be here there's no doubt, would not be here without My Little Pony. It's just insane. So definitely recommend. If you guys haven't seen it, I'm pretty sure most of you guys have seen it, but the course I teach, going through literally years of my life that have been impacted by My Little Pony, to fundamentally shortcut your personal development, so you don't have to watch 100, 200 episodes of cartoon ponies and movies, and it's just I've put together an amazing offer for you guys to check out to really skyrocket your cooperative success in the marketplace. So I really hope, if you've seen it, you haven't seen it, take advantage of it, get yourself in it. There's amazing guarantees around it, because that will, seriously change my life, change your life. It'll allow you to connect people at a whole nother level and have such a ridiculously huge level of success with whatever you do in any aspect, any industry. It all comes down to these people connection skills. So powerful. I just really hope that the right people take advantage of this and use it to crush their environment, because this is such an insanely powerful program. There's so much knowledge there. It will change your life, changed my life so much, and that's why I'm so passionate about sharing it with people. It's a shame, as I'm recording this, it's one of the last episodes of the whole show's coming out, and at one end it's the end of a journey, but at another it's like a finalization of that knowledge, a finalization of the education. Everything's there that you could need to possibly succeed in a team environment, or in a business environment, or in a marketplace environment, where you're finally able to freaking crush it by delivering exactly what people want in the exact forms of relational capital needed to build up an insane level of value in so many lives that you just can't help but succeed with ridiculously strong friendship. So with that said, I hope you guys check it out below. It'd be amazing. Let's go on to skill 20, or problem 26. Possession of power not acquired through self-effort. Sons and daughters of wealthy families and others who inherit money that they did not earn, right? Same thing, like if you win $1 million in the lottery and you have terrible financial education, you're probably gonna lose it all, It's this idea of the millionaire mind, right? The millionaire mind, they talk, and I've gone to seminars, these intensives, they're amazing, where it's like, where is your thermometer set? So if your thermometer is set at like, you have this thermometer, maybe it goes to like $1 billion, maybe $1 trillion if you're super crazy. Then on this side of it, it's like, I don't know, like $10,000. And you win the lottery and you make $1 million, or you inherit $1 million or something like that. You have like $1 million, woohoo! That's awesome, right? But your thermometer is set here, right? Your thermostat's set there. And you'll find a freaking way to lose it. This is exactly what I did. I found a way to lose this money. Or you find a way to lose this money. So when I was looking at about 100,000 in crypto right before the crash in 2017, my thermometer was not set at $100,000. My thermometer was set at about $10,000. And so because of that, I had this $100,000 opportunity over here. It was right in front of my freaking face. I lost all of it. Screwed myself over. Ridiculous. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but watch the video. It's like somewhere, you guys have probably seen it, but I talk about exactly how I lost $100,000. Freaking sucked, right? My thermometer wasn't set at $100,000. My thermometer was set at about $10,000. So when this opportunity came up, I found a way to self-sabotage and lower my success and freaking lose it, right? All because I had this idea where I was only set to here. So same thing, you win $1 million in a lottery, people find ways to just blow it. They go broke. Same thing with NFL players, boxers. I've talked about this so much throughout, probably the general membership area with mentality and success. And it's all based on the millionaire mind, right? So like the idea, you're able to succeed because you fundamentally shift where you are. So you go from $10,000, you can move yourself from $10,000 to $10 million, all of a sudden, much, much better prospects for your future. And you're moving yourself up instead of down. So that's why it's so important. You guys like read that book and understand the concepts in it, because that'll really powerful concept there. So 26. So power in the hands of one who did not acquire it gradually is often fatal to success. Quick riches are more dangerous than poverty. Get rich quick messes you up. It is bad. Gotta do it the right way. Gotta have that internal growth, that internal journey, so that when you get there, you know that you deserve it. And you know that you've worked so hard, you acquired it. And it's you, it's all you. It's gonna become a part of you. And it's something that defines you, right? Because it's like, this is success. You are success. And that's why it's really important, right? Super big thing is like, people fail because they acquire wealth without work, right? Through the easy way. Acquire wealth without work. And that's a serious problem with so many people, especially if you have really rich parents, right? I know a lot of people like Bill Gates, he's like, I'm not leaving my kids with a bunch of money because I want them to work like I had to work. They have to be in a state where they're forced to work. I've had so many people, I've taught so many like really well-off people, and they say the same thing, right? Is forced to work versus like trust fund babies, like handed to them. That'll fundamentally shift the way they work in the marketplace, the way that they grow, the way that they learn, because they know, on one side of the fence, you have people that are like, seriously, their whole life depends on their work ethic. On the other side, it's people that are like, oh, I'm just gonna be okay, it's not gonna matter. And that changes the way that they approach things. That changes the way they approach their mindset. That changes the way they approach their growth. That changes the way they do everything in life. Because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And if you're not taking yourself seriously at a very basic level, how can you expect to take yourself seriously at a much greater level? It just isn't going to happen. That's why it's super important to make the right choices, and it's detrimental to your success if you're just handed wealth. Another really amazing book that talks about this concept is The Millionaire Next Door. And The Millionaire Next Door, they're talking more about like how you can become an everyday millionaire through like long-term compounding investments in asset markets, and just like being frugal and not spending any money ever. Not necessarily as much about like value creation or creating a ton of importance around yourself in the marketplace based on the work you do or whatever, which totally cool. Like, that's a very proven way to become wealthy, is to just control your spending and invest a whole bunch. But in The Millionaire Next Door, and I'll put the book review video below, but in The Millionaire Next Door, what they talk about is how these individuals went out there and exactly how they created tremendous levels of wealth, but they were doing it the right way, right? The right way. And they were following very well-established principles. And those principles allow, don't spend a bunch of money on crap that doesn't matter. Don't buy a new car every 7 years if it doesn't freaking matter. Don't buy, an improved house every 10 years if it doesn't freaking matter. Maybe rent instead of buy, right? And then invest. Super powerful, like basic, fundamental personal finance and investing concepts. They can fundamentally shift a ton of thinking. When you looked at that, right, what happened is all of a sudden there was a very big shift in the way that they grew, because the sons and the daughters, they saw their parents working hard for this. They realized that they weren't going to get any of that when they passed away. And they did a study, right? So in this study, the two professors that wrote the book, what they did is they looked at parents that said they were going to give their kids money versus the parents that said the kids were on their own. And what was really crazy is the kids that were given money, they had, I'll put this in green because it's important, lower work ethic, less drive. And then once they got into the marketplace, they had the jobs, they were actually progressing professionally, they had less fulfillment. Versus the kids who were on their own, who their rich parents didn't really leave stuff to them, they had trust, they had established ways to stop them from getting the wealth if they passed away, which they said, like, look, we're not giving you our money. They had to work, right? So they personally paid the price for whatever it was. So for example, right, they looked at when parents put a down payment on their kid's house versus when kids had to actually go out and put that down payment down with their own income, and it made them shift their values a whole bunch based on if their parents bought it, they'd take it for granted. They would, beg their parents for money all the time. They would say it was their job to give them cash and it was their job to pay for the house or whatever, versus the kids who were on their own, they were much more independent, right? Much more independent. They took responsibility for their lives and for themselves. And they said, look, if it's to be, then it's up to me. They had a winner mindset. They had such a massive level of success in their life. They were more fulfilled and harder working, right? Harder working meaning that they produced more results in the marketplace and had a significantly larger impact on the people around them because of their individual ability to go out there and freaking crush it. And that all came down because they focused on their growth, because they knew their parents wouldn't just freaking give it to them. So that's why it's so important that you understand this and remember to acquire wealth the right way and not try to take it or manipulate it from family, because that's just not the way to create consistent value. That's not the way to get towards your overarching long-term goals. And if you look at the most successful people on this planet, a vast majority of them are self-made, like we talked about earlier. And that self-made makes them make skills, makes people go through courses like this, where you're learning and you're growing and you're succeeding personally and professionally. From the education you can acquire, all of a sudden, you have such a high level of success. It's ridiculously powerful. It all comes down from this individual ability to go out there, go hard, and have total conviction and belief that you are the sole reason you will succeed, with no one else in the way. Make sense? And also like a team, right? You build a team and then the team works together, because teams are ridiculously powerful. So, number 27, intentional dishonesty. There is no substitute for honesty. One may be temporarily dishonest by force of circumstances over which one has no control without permanent damage. But there is no hope for people who are dishonest by choice. Sooner or later, their deeds will catch up with them and they will pay by loss of reputation and perhaps even loss of liberty. Go to freaking jail. I mean, this is like basic, like in the market, this is insider trading, right? People that are dishonest, they go to jail for insider trading. Like that's a serious issue. Like Ponzi schemes, right? Like that's dishonest. Those pyramid schemes where people, pay money up and then they pay for the people below them. And then it's just a whole pyramid to get to the person at the top who actually makes the most money. Like that stuff is freaking illegal. You will go to jail for that. If you're intentionally lying, you're a criminal. This is a criminal activity. When you steal things from a store, that is lying. You are lying about who owns them. You're fundamentally stealing from the system and taking value out of the people that are actually trying to do things, right? You can't let that happen. You can't subdue to intentional lies, because intentional lies will get you in jail. Intentional lies will ruin your life. You gotta make sure that you're pushing for yourself, you're dedicated to yourself, you're crushing it all for you, because at a fundamental level, the only one who can succeed is you, and you have to do it truthfully, you have to do it honestly, because honesty, honesty is the best freaking policy, guys. Total transparency, radical transparency. This is a concept that actually kind of stemmed from a book I read called Principles by Ray Dalio, and I've talked about it before, but I want to bring it up again because it's really important. Principles by Ray Dalio. And in this book, Ray talks about team management so much. And remember, as we've talked about, teams are the key to growth. Teams are the key to long-term success and massive impact in the world, because you can achieve so much as a team that you just can't have on your own. So in Principles, what Ray does is he talks about his executive management policies and tactics and everything he does to create a tremendously powerful, one of the world's largest hedge funds, Bridgewater. They're huge, billions and billions under management, because they do an amazing job. And so in Principles, he breaks down all these team management strategies, and also strategies of principles, right? So team, growth, development. And there was this one thing that he talked about. It's called radical transparency, and it fundamentally shifted the way that I thought about so much that I do, and that's why I want to share it with you today. With radical transparency, what Ray does is he makes everything so clear and honest that there is no chance for lies. There's no chance for fallacies or anything to go wrong. He'll actually record, and I talked about this earlier, right? He records every executive meeting and broadcasts them to the company. Executive meeting, right? Huge for him. And it's all comes from this idea that everybody should know. Everyone on the team has a duty and they have the right to know what's going on at a higher up level so that decisions make sense to them and everyone is truthful instead of intentionally lying. You know what? There was this really great example. What Ray did is he said if there was a company coming and they were going to take over and they were offering management really great pay, right? Like management was going to make a ton of money. People are at risk of losing their jobs, right? Because they would get fired if the takeover occurred. What Ray said is he would be totally transparent and 100% honest. He would go to the people below him and say, hey, look, this is a situation that's unfolding. All the managers are going to get paid X million dollars and we're thinking about selling the company, and if we sell the company, you might lose your job. Imagine the amount of trust that creates when you share that with somebody, and how insane it shifts their mindset about your team when you're like, so honest, so ridiculously honest, that now they understand, oh my gosh, this guy knows what he wants. He's got his principles down. He's got his management down. He's got his growth down. Everything stems from this internal ability to go out there and be ridiculously transparent and honest with people and never for a moment try to lie to their faces. That'll crush it. That'll crush all trust. In the long term, it'll crush all reputation, and it could eventually lead to punishment with jail. So please check out that book review video below about principles. Very good book. It'll change your life. It's amazing. Lie to grow teams to levels never before believed in. And go out there and freaking crush it. All right? Sound good? Makes sense? Let's do it. All right? Be honest. Be ridiculously honest. I don't care, temporary, like if it's a social thing, whatever. But for anything business related that has giant impact on people, you got to be transparent. You got to let them know what's going on. And just tell them what's up. Okay? Make sense? Want to create great relationships like we talked about before. It's all about building strong relationships that you can establish through time and create tremendous levels of value in the marketplace, no matter where you're working. All right, number 28. Egotism and vanity. These qualities serve as red lights that warn others to stay away. They are fatal to success. All right, egotism, too much focus on yourself, and vanity. You're too vain. You have to be able to focus on others, right? Focus on others. Build the team. And then you want to be able to build other people up. So to build other people up and support them, you need to be able to take the focus off yourself and, give praise, give happiness, give smiles, give to these people, right? We talk about this a whole lot in the 1 Minute Manager. In the 1 Minute Manager, a giant principle that he talks about, and I'll leave the book review below and talk more about the 3 major principles in that book, is the ability to give praise to people and to make them feel happy and make them feel valued and special and growing and happy and just like an important part of the team. And if you can give praise and give up on vanity, move away from yourself, focus on others, it's going to have a tremendously larger impact in the marketplace, ridiculously higher level of growth. Like increase that level of growth, because the relationship grows, and when relationships grow and trust grows, that's when companies grow. That's when plans grow. Highly recommend. Check out the review on the 1 Minute Manager. Get yourself a copy, add it to your library, because it'll make you such a better team player and ridiculously stronger ability to go out there and freaking crush it. All right, makes sense? Sound good? Let's go to 29. Guessing instead of thinking. Oh man, this is a bad one. And especially like in financial markets, if you're guessing instead of thinking, you're gonna have some serious issues. Remember, this is why it's important to think and then make quick decisions and change those decisions slowly, because your initial judgment was strong, versus being a slow decision maker, procrastinating, and then quickly changing your ideas because you didn't really develop them or think about them enough. This is the important part, the distinction that'll change that ability. Most people are too indifferent or lazy to acquire facts with which to think adequately. They prefer to act on opinions created by guesswork or snap judgments. I'll tell you what's a really great example of this. And the problem is, guessing instead of thinking, people just don't do their research, right? Don't do their research. And so because of that, they have no clue what's going on. And a really great example, some companies, very recently, I've read the annual reports on, as I'm recording this content, is Neo, BlackBerry, and Campbell Soup Company. Now with all 3 of these companies, Neo specifically was like a freaking 400 plus page report. BlackBerry was I think it was 250 pages. And Campbell Soup, most of the important stuff was about 70, 80 pages, 80 pages. I've read all these documents, every single line on them, every single statement on them, because I know that for me to invest in a company like BlackBerry, Campbell Soup, or Neo, I need to know what the heck is up with the underlying company. And to understand what's up with the underlying company, one of the best ways to do that is to read the annual report, the 10K, right? And I talk about this a bunch in the book when I talk about fundamental analysis. As you read these annual reports, you're going to learn a whole lot about the underlying company. Now, it is not easy to spend 10, 15, 20 hours reading up about an investment that I might not even make, right? If the technicals don't work out on NEO, I'm not going to get in them. If they do work out, I would love to get in them. Same thing with BlackBerry, same thing with Campbell Soup. BlackBerry, they're a little interesting. They're more security side. Campbell Soup looks pretty sweet. They do a lot of stuff. They're just kind of like season specific a little bit. But you learn that by reading those reports, right? You have massive insights into these companies, and then you understand exactly when to make the best investments in them. And if you can make the best investments of them based on those fundamentals, based on the research, you have to put in the work here so that you do have a clue and you do know what's up with these guys. Right? So remember, like with whatever you're doing, you need to think instead of guessing, right? Especially with investments, investments that are going to shape your retirement fund, they're going to shape your future, they're going to shape your financial freedom. You want to make sure you know what the frick you're doing. So either stick with what you're doing, or if you're outside of your area of expertise, don't guess, think, research, read the reports, learn about the companies, and get the quality education, especially on technical analysis that I teach in 9 to noon, and then obviously through the stock lectures, to grow and expand yourself so that you're able to get to a new state in the marketplace. We have massive success because you're understanding at a very fundamental level exactly what makes these stocks move, why they move, and then also like just how to crush it with them based on what the heck is actually going on. So with that said, let's move on to magical number 30. And the same thing here, like it applies with any business decision. Like you want to have the facts and the figures behind what you do, or at least have somebody on your team have the facts and the figures so that you can come together as a mastermind. And even if you don't know everything, you have people on your team that know individual aspects, and collectively you guys know everything. So that's like leveraging the power of the mastermind, making sure everybody has the research done and they're thinking about it together. And then you have this massive brain that comes together and you think, okay, yes or no, smiley face or sad face. And that's when you're going to make the best decisions possible because you're focusing on the information, not the emotion. Please don't make business decisions based on emotion. Never. Give yourself some time. Think about it. All right, I know I hate saying this. I'm going to sound like an idiot. I'm probably going to hurt my sales conversion because the vast majority of people buy on stupid emotions, the impulses. Like think about what you're doing and then do it. Make sure that something you're doing isn't going to bankrupt you, that it's actually going to be a tremendous benefit and add a lot of value to your life. And if it's not going to add a lot of value to your life, maybe it's not the right fit. Find the right fit. Make it freaking work. Prove to yourself and to the people around you the things you invest in are the things you want to be in by creating a return on your investment and crushing every single aspect that you can and you have control over, including team growth. Make sense? Awesome. Personal growth. You're going to kill it. Sounds great. Let's get down to our last principle. And the last thing people have that causes them to fail is a lack of capital. This is a common cause of failure among those who start out in a business for the first time without sufficient reserves of capital to absorb the shock of their mistakes and to carry them over until they have established a reputation. Lack of capital. All right, no reputation. A lot of times maybe it quote takes money. Look, I'm here to tell you guys, it does not take money. This is bogus, all right? Reputation doesn't freaking matter. Lack of capital, I'll tell you what that is. That is a lack of resourcefulness. Guys, I've talked about this so much throughout this entire membership area. I've talked about this so much throughout all of the information and the education and everything I do. This is not a problem. This cannot be your problem, okay? The person who started, Calvin Klein was trying to sell his shoes at a ginormous event, a mega shoe event. Everyone was in this massive conference and there were tables and booths and everyone was selling clothing everywhere, designer clothes galore. He didn't have the capital. He couldn't get in. What did he do? He got a massive freaking truck, went outside the front door and started trying to sell his shoes out of his truck. Now, he got ticketed immediately and was told he had to leave the premises because the only people that were allowed on the street were construction workers and people making movies. Now, let me tell you something. Calvin Klein, KC, he was not a construction worker. That was out of his job. But I'll tell you what, he said, oh, I can be someone making a movie. He took that and he freaking changed his life. What he did was he went over to the State Department and he went to the state. He said, hey, look, I would like a license to film a movie. I'm filming a movie called The Making of a Shoe Company. Okay, makes sense. Then he got cameras. He got all his friends to come together, bring their cameras. They got like Nikon cameras, just taking like film photos, and he brought his truck back. He said, hey, I'm back, I'm making a movie, here's my film license, I got it, I paid $80 to get this film license, and we're making a movie called The Making of a Shoe Company. He parked his truck outside that convention center for the entire weekend and sold hundreds of thousands of dollars of freaking shoes. Crushed it, destroyed it. Why did he destroy it? It wasn't a lack of capital, he had resourcefulness. He's able to grow, he's able to expand, and he understood how to play the game, all right? I don't want you guys to get stuck here. Lack of capital is never a freaking problem. Get a minimum wage job. I got a minimum wage job for so much of my life, and it gave me the capital to start investing. Get a job anywhere, freaking make it work. Deliver value, sell something, make something, all right? It doesn't cost me anything besides my time, the camera, the electricity, computer, and editing, and okay, it costs me a little bit of stuff, but like make a freaking video, right? Put stuff up on YouTube. I don't know, whatever you want to do. That's a long-term game. That's a long-term undertaking. Be like Calvin Klein. Be resourceful. Find the money, and then freaking crush it. Lack of capital is not an excuse. Under this, name any particular cause of failure from which you have suffered has not been included in the foregoing list. So if you can think of any other reason you failed that's not on this very extensive list, these 30 major causes of failure which have caused tragedies in so many lives, write them down, analyze the cause of failure, and figure out what went wrong, figure out how to know yourself, figure out what you need to do to improve, what you need to do to grow, what you need to be successful, right? Makes sense? You have to treat yourself objectively, look at that 10,000 foot view, and understand exactly how you want to change your life. Just know all of your weaknesses so that you can bridge them or eliminate them entirely and focus exclusively on your strengths. This is super powerful, insanely strong concept. We're going to work on it so much more, but remember to focus on your strengths, ignore your weaknesses, overcome these barriers, overcome these challenges, overcome everything holding you back. These 30 principles, I want you to take them, I want you to apply the positive flipping version, the positivity. Use it as fuel for your growth. Use these as 30 ways to improve your business immediately, starting today, by changing your mindset, changing your beliefs, changing the way you work, changing the way you function. Everything comes from your internal ability to master the game and crush it. Awesome, sound great. Hope you guys got a ridiculous amount of value out of this training module. Awesome stuff. Make sure to check out some of the insane resources below. I'm so excited about them. Maybe leave a comment. I think there should be like a little comment box. Maybe you can leave a comment. That'd be super fun. I don't know. Maybe it's fun, maybe it's not. Whatever you guys want to do. I'm sure if you're into that, you're into it. If you're not a big deal. Whatever works for you, my man. Have an amazing day. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next training module. See ya.